Just an FYI, the congregation is with us now. You don't have to start, but people can hear you, so don't say anything off color.
Welcome, everybody.
We would never.
Great to see you all. Great to see you all.
Shabbat shalom to everyone.
And we're ready when you are.
All right, we're 10 seconds to count down.
Let me make sure I've got my... Helps if I do that, right? Hey, look at that. Okay, ready, Shai? Mm-hmm. A little Olam Chesed.
Shabbat shalom all. I want to share a thought, and then we'll have dear Sonia and Cal Greenbaum open our evening, our service by lighting Shabbat candles. I'm thinking about the end tonight and wanted to connect the end to the beginning to the end. At the end, we'll have a wonderful, sweet montage of sorts of collection of our wedding photos. And, you know, this is the Parsha of Yitro, where we climb Mount Sinai and we are in covenant with God. And there's a very special moment, many of them, of course, but one moment I'm thinking about before we arrive to Mount Sinai and hear the Ten Commandments, which is chapter 20 of Exodus. In chapter 19, one chapter before, here's the image. This, you know, the director is setting the scene. We're all like in the wilderness, very close to Mount Sinai. We're sort of approaching to Mount Sinai, and we're one mass of people. And the text of the Torah says, "Vayachanu bamidbar." Yachanu is they, plural. They yachanu. They encamped. They were a collection of people, and they encamped. like some of us have been to Jerusalem. We know this place, Machane Yehuda, where we get amazing rugelach. That's really the most important thing. Actually, it's an open air market. But Machane and Yachanu, it's the same word. They encamped together, many of them. They encamped Bamidbar in the wilderness just below Mount Sinai. And then literally the next verse, it goes from Vayachanu, they camped, to Vayichan Sham Yisrael. Israel camped. It went from they encamped, all these people, to like, I don't know, are they talking about Jacob? Are they talking about a family? Why does it go from plural to singular? This is all precedes just by a few verses, the beginning of Revelation in chapter 20. So I'll leave you with this question, like, why is it that in one, literally it's the Vayachanu Bamidbar, and the next two words are Vayichan Sham. They encamped, and then the number goes from plural to singular. I think it connects as well to lighting Shabbat candles. We light Shabbat candles. Connects to the wedding photos that we're going to celebrate. We're going to feel a bunch of nachas around. It connects to this journey to Mount Sinai, to this idea of from Yachanu to Vayichan. It's about bringing light. It's about being together. And Sonia and Calvin, you guys are beautiful, precious, amazing models of camping out together. Oh, it's so good to see you. So good. So, you've taught a lot of people, a lot of individuals and generations about coming together to bring light into the world. And it's such a blessing and a privilege to have you guys with us tonight to light Shabbat candles. Yay, we hear your voice. Voices.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to you guys.
Shabbat shalom to you.
So you can tell us something sweet, or you can just light the candles, whichever is your preference.
Okay, light the candles.
Sure.
Okay, perfect.
I'm not sure, but I'm not sure how perfect.
Did you get the left from the shot?
Yeah, okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shechashanu liyot. I've forgotten totally. What is it? I'm sorry. I'm just Baruch atah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav l'chadlik neh asher Shabbat.
Amen.
Sing it the ways.
Perfect.
Let's sing it together.
We love you. We love you. And you're perfect. You're perfect. Go for it, Cantor.
Minor.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sonia and Cal. We love you dearly. And now let's turn to page 12. Page 12. L'chu D'Ranana, Psalm 95.
Let's let us sing out to God, the maker of all, sure and strong. Let all of creation from mountain to sea hear a song. For all of the wonder in all of God's light, we rejoice. So now let us listen with all of our hearts to hear God's voice. ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ, לי לה 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 לה, ירם הים ומלואו, יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו, איי איי איי, אז ירננו כל הצייר לפני אדוני כי לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט עבר בצדק, ועמים באמונתו. ילאי ללאי 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 יאי לאי 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 יאי לאי 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 יאי לאי לאי לאי
Page 14, Psalm 97.
Adonai malach tegel haaretz, yismechu yehim rabim, anan vrafel sevivav, צדק ומשפט מכון כיסו. אוהב ארוני סינורה שומר נפשות חסידיו מיד רשעים יצילם. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. שמחו צדיקים באדוני, באדוני, והודו לזכר קודשו, לזכר קודשו. אור זרוע, אור זרוע לצדיק וישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק וישרי לב שמחה. שמחו, שמחו צדיקים, צדיקים באדוני, 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 והודו, והודו לזכר קודשו, לזכר קודשו, לזכר קודשו. אור זרוע לצדיק וישרי לב שמחה.
Page 20, L'chadodi.
Verse 1. Shamoy v'zachor b'diburecha hishemianu el hamyucha Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shem ultiferet v'litila lecha dodi Ikra kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi Ikra kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 2. Likrat Shabbat לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likra kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'o תדברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. And now, rise in your hearts or to your feet if you're comfortable. Let's greet one another. Let's greet the Sabbath Queen into our midst, the spirit of shalom, of wholeness, of rest. Boi v'shalom ateret ba'ala gam b'simcha u'b'tzola toch emunei am segula boi kala lecha dodi likrat kala penei shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala penei shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
With this prayer of Lecha Dodi on our lips and in our hearts, I want to just connect a couple dots. Lecha Dodi likrat kala. The word kala in Hebrew means a bride. Well, I hope that we understand, we get it, that Lecha Dodi is every week the choreography is, it's about commitment, covenant, chuppah. You know, tonight at the end of the service, we'll have our wedding moments. And all of this connects to Sinai, to our parsha, the question that I asked before. Why right before we receive the revelation, the Torah says first, Vayachanu b'midbar, they camped, plural. And then immediately, literally the next phrase, it says Vayichan. It goes from they to plural to singular. We as a unit camped together. You know, at many weddings, a bride wears a veil. Not at all, but many. Even if the bride doesn't wear a veil, I talked to them about this. What's going on with the veil? And what I try to help couples think about is that the veil is a symbol of the moments in our relationships in which the other seems to be a mystery. Oh, really? That's what you experienced? That's what you thought? That's what you heard? That's what you intuited or understood? I had no idea. That veil is a metaphor, a reminder, a symbol of the fact that we are so often a mystery to each other, particularly to our most beloveds, the ones who are most beloved in our lives. We're a mystery. And what do? We actually celebrate that. We remove the veil and we have a party. We remove the veil and we have a celebration, a reception. We dance, we sing, we eat the best food that we can. And Rashi puts it like this. They go from a group of people, Vayachanu, plural, to it's a oneness that stood at Mount Sinai. In other words, the principal requirement, the prerequisite that enables us to stand at Mount Sinai together, under the chuppah together. Rashi says this. The from the plural to the singular, it's because it's ka'ish echad, as if they became one person, belev echad, with one heart. When we go from, every one of us is separate, divided, not hearing each other, not feeling, not internalizing the other's heart, it's vayachanu. It's a plural. But at these moments when we're really connected, it's because we're like a single person with a single heart. Not because we feel exactly the same thing, not at all. But our heart is expanded enough so that we can hold and validate and honor the hearts of our loved ones. So we'll do that when we celebrate our Modim moments, our video at the end. And with all of that, we can turn to Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, page 22, a song for the day of Shabbat.
Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Lehagid baboker chasdecha, ve'emunatcha ba'aleilot, Alei asor v'alei navel, Alei higayon bechinor. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Ki samachtani Adonai b'fa'alecha, b'ma'aseh yadecha aranen, ma gadlu ma'asecha Adonai, me'od amku machshevotecha. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat, Tov lehodot l'Adonai, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon, Uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tzadik atamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon, yizkeh shetolim beveit Adonai, bechatzrot Eloheinu yafichu. Od yenovon beseva, deshenim berananim iyo lehagid ki yashar Adonai.
reach out, send a text to all the angels in our lives. Tell them that we love them and we're grateful to them. Shalom Aleichem, page 24. It's about those angels who help us enter and go out and come back again in peace and with faith and hope. 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharich, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Borechem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu, Barchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seirchem L'Shalom, Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We'd like to rise for our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day becomes night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Light becomes day, day turns to night. Boreom valayla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, vechoshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes comes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mipnei choshech, kolel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uben layla, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai, Amari v'Aragi.
Page 32,
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu lemadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu B'shokbeinu u'b'komeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed. Ki hein chayenu ve'yorech yameinu ve'yorech yameinu uvahem negeh yomam v'layla yomam v'layla ve'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
36, V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha V'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha V'chol meodecha V'hayu advarim ha'ele Asher anochi mitzavecha Hayom al levavecha V'shinamtam levanecha V'dibarta bam V'shivdecha b'veitecha U'lechtecha v'aderech U'shochbecha u'kumecha U'kshartam liot al yadecha V'hayu letotafot b'neinecha U'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha U'visharecha Leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai V'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem Asher hotzeitiechem me'eretz Mitzrayim V'yod lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 40, Micha Mocha, Prayer for Redemption.
Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. V'nemar kifada Adonai et Yaakov lo miyad chazak mimeno. Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Redemption requires us to cross the sea. It's a pretty tiring effort, a pretty tiring aspiration. Often we feel like, oh gosh, can we just have a night of peace, of rest, of hashkivinu? Help us to lay down and rest after a day of redemptive efforts in Micha Mocha. 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom leShalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom leShalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom leShalom Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom leShalom. Stand us up Adonai, spread your wings upon us all. Give us peace and keep us safe. LeShalom, LeShalom, LeShalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu LeShalom, LeShalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, leShalom. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, leShalom, leShalom, leShalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, leShalom. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leShalom, Shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, Haporei Sukat Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Beautiful. Lay us down in peace so that we may rise up and feel the desire, the joy, the possibility of creating more sacred time. Vishamru, page 44.
V'shomeru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם.
Like to rise for Amidah, please feel free to do so. Page 46.
Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon. Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, Mevi Geula לבניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו משני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וכרושים בכל יום יחללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We take a moment for our own personal private prayer, and we'll come back together very briefly, just in a moment.
If you're still contributing your private meditations, feel free to do so at your own pace. You can also join us on page 58 as we offer our modim moments, our moments of gratitude, which I'm particularly grateful for. And Rabbi, maybe you want to say a bit more about our modim moments while I'm adjusting my talit.
You know, the Modim moments, we've collected these photos. Modim is about gratitude, about appreciation. about loved ones, about family, about connection, about trust and forgiveness and joy and compassion, tenderness. Those are all the qualities on which the world is built. As Cantor started the service, the world is actually built on chesed. That's what it is. We may think it's bricks and mortars or I don't know what, some material stuff, but the world is really built on chesed. And that's what our Modim moments are about. So
I believe we're going to have an offering of these Modim moments, of Simcha moments, weddings, and the like. Ha ha tov, ki lo chalu rachamecha, ve'am rachem, ki lo tamu chasadecha, hatov ki lo chalu rachamecha, ve'am rachem ki lo tamu chasadecha, me'olam kivinu lach, modim anachnu lach, ahatov, ki lo chalu rachamecha, ve'am rachem, ki lo tamu chasadecha, hatov ki lo chalu rachamecha, ve'am rachem ki lo tamu chasadecha, me'olam kivinu lach, modim anachnu lach, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, hatov ki lo chalu rachamecha, ve'am rachem ki lo tamu chasadecha, me'olam kivinu lach, modim anachnu lach, me'olam kivinu lach, modim anachnu lach. For all these things, O Eternal, we are grateful to you. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav tasim leolam. Shalom la'ava Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael.
And we take all that joy and prayers for peace and send it to, direct it to our loved ones in need of healing. As my text says, if you'd like to send in the name of a loved one who you're thinking about, healing of body and healing of spirit, feel free to do so. We're on page 253, Misha Berach, 253.
Misha Berach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu yevarech v'yerapeh et hacholim. Misha Berach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel Leah, Hu yevarech v'yerapeh et hacholim. El na refana la, El na refana la. Please God, heal them now. El na refana la. Misha Berach, Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu yevarech v'yerapeh et hacholim. May they all have a speedy recovery of refuat nefesh u'refuat aguf, of spirit and body, and let us all say, Amen.
And so we go from this prayer for peace, beautiful prayer, thank you, Cantor Adam, to a prayer of Tara's in her Devar Torah that she's going to offer to us right now.
Shalom. So yesterday I got the second vaccine, which means that my arm is a little sore. I'm a bit achy and headachy, but incredibly grateful. Wow, it's a miracle. So I'm going to speak a bit about vaccination tonight, along with focusing on this week's Torah portion, which is Yitro, which means that 6 years ago, our son Gavi was having his bar mitzvah. Wow, time flies. So there's obviously a lot to pick from in this greatest hits Torah portion, all those commandments. I am going to focus on the second one, which really the second commandment is like the first, because the first commandment is just the statement, I am God. There's no action point. But there's some instructions in the second commandment. Lo yihyeh lecha Elohim acherim al panai, don't have any other gods except for me. Don't make sculptured images of anything in the heavens or in the earth or in the water. And don't bow down to them, because I am a jealous God. And then we're going to focus narrowly on these words that come next in this commandment. Poked avon avot al banim, I visit the guilt of the parents on the kids. Al shileshim ba'al ribeim lisonai, on the third and fourth generations, to those who hate me or who reject me. So it always feels a little theologically uncomfortable to me. Really, you're going to punish the kids for what the parents did? But if we move away from big bad boogeyman theology, no one in the sky holding a lightning bolt to punish the children of wrongdoers, but look at it differently, I think there is powerful wisdom here. Perhaps this is just a description of the world as it is. As we know, trauma and wrongdoing translate down through the generations, down through families and societies. Or if we are to take an environmental approach, as you know I often do, let's look at a local example, the Lockheed Martin plume. So in the 1940s, starting back then, into dry wells, these chemicals are being dumped, and that continues on for many years. And then we have now a toxic plume loaded with carcinogens that's moving into our drinking water. And Lockheed says, okay, we've got 70% of it cleaned up, but if we throw a bunch of hundreds of $millions at it and keep working hard, maybe by 2044, we'll be in the clear. So if it started in the 1940s, that's about a century, roughly 3 to 4 generations, just as the Torah describes. So whether we want to frame this in terms of environment or morality that's translated down in our choices, down through the generations in our societies and in the communities we build, we see in this second commandment a description of the fact that wrongdoing just translates. We can't whitewash it so easily. It does get passed down. But thank goodness, the commandment does not end there. It continues. V'oseh chesed la'alafim lo havai u l'shomrei mitzvotai. God will show kindness to the 1,000th generation of those who love God, who try to keep God's commandments. So reading this, Rashi says, well, Elef is 1,000, Alpayim is 2,000. 2,000 generations. He said, so you're basically comparing 3 to 4 generations that are getting the results of the bad choices of the parents, and you're getting, he says, 500 times that, 2,000 generations. That in Rashi's math, that's 500 times the good impact that comes from the ways in which we try to do right. It's going to have a longer shelf life than even the worst consequences of our bad deeds. Interesting. So it behooves us to ask, what is the nature of this goodness that gets passed down for so far and so long? The key word that is used is chesed. God's going to give chesed. So what does chesed even mean? It's a word that we hear often in our prayers, a beautiful quote from the prophet Isaiah, who is speaking for God, and God says, I don't want your sacrifices. Ki chesed chafatzti. My chefetz, my desire is for chesed. It's something that God craves from us. Or when we're marching around with the Torah, we say, Al shlosha devarim. The world is like standing on 3 things, a sacred tripod. Al haTorah, Torah, learning. Ve'al ha'avodah, and on prayer. Ve'al gemilut chasadim. That's a little high for me. It's also standing on gemilut chasadim, on chesed. It's one of the core, foundational parts of the universe. Our sages also teach that chesed is actually even better than tzedakah, and tzedakah is pretty good. But chesed, loving kindness, can be enacted even by someone who's poor, someone who doesn't have a lot of means. And chesed can be given not only to the living, but those who have passed from this world. And then one other well-known use of the word chesed comes from Eshet Chayil, the proverb that is sung to a mother or a woman on Erev Shabbat after the candles are lit. It's a very long litany of all the wonderful things about her. And one of them is V'torat chesed aleshona, that she has chesed, she has loving kindness in her words, on her tongue. So chesed is not only about some reward that is received from God, it's about what we give. It's about how we speak. So if we look at this week's Torah portion, the stage is set for chesed. Because before we reach the pyrotechnics of the Sinai moment and all that amazing revelation drama, we have Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, who enters and says, boy, you seem really burdened, Moses. You have too much work. Why don't you appoint some judges and magistrates who can help you? An act of chesed. And if we scroll back just before that, there's a raging battle with Amalek, and the Israelites prevail whenever Moses' hands are raised, but his hands get tired. And so Aaron and Hur hold up each of his hands so we can win the battle. Again, this beautiful, in my mind, symbol of chesed, of mutual support. That precedes all the fire and brimstone of Sinai. V'oseh chesed la'alafim. It's about a kindness that shines through generation to generation to generation. And so I am thinking of chesed as it relates to my very sore shoulder. And I want to take us on a little vaccination journey. I promise I'll bring it back home to the Parsha. Just trust me. So the year is 1721. Smallpox is raging in Boston, my hometown. And at the end of the epidemic, 14% of the population is dead from this terrible scourge of smallpox. And there's even a rule that's given during this time that the church bells should not be ringing excessively for every funeral, because it means that there's just endless church bell ringing and it's crushing the spirits of those who are ill with the disease. So against this backdrop, enter Cotton Mather. He's a Puritan minister and also kind of a lay scientist. And he asks his slave, who's from West Africa, his name is Onesimus. He asked this slave, Onesimus, have you ever had smallpox? And Onesimus says, yes and no. Well, it turns out Onesimus describes this treatment that was given back in his homeland, where the fluid from an infected person, a person sick with smallpox, would be injected into the skin of someone who was well, thereby warding off the disease for that healthy person. So Mather is intrigued. He researches it. He gives this treatment a name. He calls it variolation. And he gets a doctor, Dr. Boylston, to try it. Boylston tries it on some of his own slaves, then on his own son, then to almost 300 people. He gives this treatment. Only 2.5% of them die. Very different from the 14% who normally die from smallpox. So it's an amazing thing, but it raises up quite a clamor in Boston. First of all, a slave is the one who suggested this treatment. So people think maybe there's some sort of mutiny going on. And both Boylston and Mather are accused of violating the laws of medicine, of creating a disease instead of helping it. Someone even throws a grenade, a live grenade, into Mather's home. Okay. The epidemic dies down. And variolation or inoculation treatments like it continue to develop. Enter Edward Jenner. He really makes vaccination much more mainstream. And by 1980, we have diseases like smallpox. According to the World Health Organization, in 1980, it was eradicated. No more. So what about Onesimus? I don't know. I didn't really ever hear his name until this past week. Little is known really of what happened to him. He fell out of favor with his owner. He was able to give Mather some money to buy half of his freedom so that Mather could buy another slave. Onesimus married late in life, had a few children who died early as young children. And that's it. So we're back to the second commandment now. This notion of reward and punishment based on your goodness in the world. Well, certainly we do see that injustice, be it racial injustice or so many other forms of suffering, get passed down to the third and fourth generation, who knows, maybe more. But what of acts of kindness, acts of sharing our ingenuity, our wisdom, our desire to do better for others? How long does that last? According to Rabbi Nehorai, who writes a midrash on Psalm 62, he says chesed, goodness, is different from wickedness. Wickedness, Rabbi Naharai argues, is kind of inert. It doesn't have a life force to it. But goodness, chesed, has a way of building upon itself and growing. Back to vaccinations. In the late 1990s, the progress of immunizations had sort of slowed, certainly for those living in developing countries. There were some 30 million children who were not fully immunized and thus very much at risk for dying of a whole range of diseases. And so in response, in the year 2000, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, along with their partners, set up the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, the acronym for which, interestingly, is Gavi. And Gavi, God willing, will receive his first vaccine on Monday, because in Israel, they've lowered the age to 16. Pretty amazing. Anyway, since its launch, Gavi, this Global Alliance for Vaccines, has prevented, according to their records, 13 million deaths and cut child mortality in these developing countries in half. Wow. Thinking about Neharai's comment that chesed has a way of growing, la'alafim, to the 1000th generation. It's easier in Hebrew, alafim, hard to say 1000th. So this is about much more than the reward that we might receive. I mean, it is true that in the year 2016, this underplayed slave, Onesimus, was given the title by Boston Magazine Person of the Year. But we're talking about something bigger than that. As I feel this soreness in my arm, I know that I am strengthened by the courage and the generosity of spirit and the ingenuity of so many people who have come before me, of those who have given their chesed. I want to close with a beautiful verse that we often offer in song, Olam Chesed Yibaneh. It's from Psalm 89. And if it's read literally, Olam Chesed Yibaneh could mean that God's chesed is le'olam. It's going to last forever. It's built for eternity. So it's really about what's coming to us. But Hebrew, in all its sophistication and depth and beauty, can be interpreted in many ways, as I like to say. And this can also be read as Olam Chesed Yibaneh. We are going to build a world of chesed, not because we're expecting some recognition or some reward to come to us, but because we trust that somehow the goodness that we offer is going to grow and grow to build a world of goodness for generations to come. May we feel that trust even in this time of a global pandemic. Maybe that lesson is truer now than it ever was. Olam Chesed Yibaneh. May we trust in the power of our acts of goodness. May we build that world together. Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Beautiful. Thank you. We'll thank her tomorrow as well, but I love that connecting, giving us some history of the vaccine, connecting that to, it's such a source and an act of chesed that each one of us, so many of us, so many of you, I hope, have received the vaccine. Phil, thanks for sending us this note. Actually, if you all want to send in a chat, have you gotten the vaccine? Are you hoping to? Did you get the first, not the second? Fill the chat with your own, with the chesed that we've received from the vaccines that we've gotten. And we're gonna, in a moment, Cantor Adam will sing for us Olam Chesed. But before we do, I want us to offer Jody Adler for you to offer the prayer for our country, which at its core, certainly if we were to look at the Hebrew too, but even in the English, we know is so connected to the call, mitzvah, the chova, the obligation of chesed, and the faith that chesed is at the core of what we want and what can transform. So on page 258, hello, Jody.
Hi. Prayer for our congregation. Source of all being, may the children of this community learn these passions from us: love of Torah, devotion in prayer, and support of the needy. May we guide with integrity, and may our leadership be in your service. May those who teach and nourish us be blessed with satisfaction, and may we appreciate their time and their devotion. Bless us with the fruits of wisdom and understanding, and may our efforts bring fulfillment and joy.
And Jody, read this short prayer for our country. Thus says Adonai. Okay, would you?
Well, can I tell you that I don't have that? I would gladly, but I don't have that.
Oh, I thought you're reading from the prayer book. I'm sorry. All right. Well,
sorry.
Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
May this birthday be a birthday full of chesed. May you know that you are a bringer of chesed to all of us who are lucky enough to know you and be connected to you. And may you have many more.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Cantor.
Let's rise in our hearts and to our feet as we sing of that perfected world to come, which is the essential nature of the Aleinu prayer. Olam chesed yibane, ya la 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 la, ya la la la. Olam chesed yibane, ya la la.
We go from Olam Chesed Yibaneh, which really is the essence of the Aleinu. And as we concluded with the Chatima, Cancer Adam, we go from that to remembering loved ones who were a source of so much chesed in our lives, were teachers to us about chesed, modeled it for us. And that's, how we come to our close every service. And so I'll read the loved ones who we're remembering tonight on our list. And if you'd like to share the name of a loved one in the chat, feel free to do so. We remember Sonia Ehrlich, dear grandma and great grandmother of Jordana, Stan and kids. We laid her to rest just yesterday. We remember in the past 30 days the period of Shloshim, Carrie Baker, Michelle, Shelley Bearer, Rosalind Berger, Jeffrey Doppelt, Robert Gilbert, Beatrice Goldberg, and William Winston. And we remember the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of these loved ones. If you hear the name of a loved one, if you already have and would like to rise, feel free to do so. Layla Allen, Dari Arbital, Ruth Barshop, James Belser, Lillian Beanstalk, Gerald Cohen, Robin Hershorn Cohen, Mark Diamond, Sydney Friedland, Joyce Gerla, Arthur Grain, Molly Greenberg, Sigmund Hand, Philip Lear, Michael Lipstein, Myrna Hausman Miller, Alan Pinsky, Samuel Rubin, Dorothy Schwartz, and Leon Schwartz, Paul Sherman, and William Scheinfeld. As I said, if you'd like to add a name, please feel free to do so. See some names of wonderful family members here. If it's your custom to rise, feel free to do so. Mourner's Kaddish Kadisha Tome on 294. Ikadal v'ikadash shemir Rabba.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach v'yurteh v'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayechonu v'yamechonu v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagalav izman kari v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam l'olmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shemei d'kudashah rechu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi shlama Rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. And let us say one last time. Amen. Amen. Okay, you may be seated if you'd like. A number of announcements. Oneg tonight hosted by Linda Diamond. Thank you so much, Linda. Tomorrow morning, Torah study at 9 a.m. And then tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. begins our special Shabbat service with the special guest speaker, Daniel Zarin, wonderful son of Michael and Renee Zarin. Dan Zarin is a climate expert known far and wide. His talk tomorrow morning as a sermon it's entitled The Climate Chaos, Why the Next Decade and Our Choices Matter More Than Ever. I'm sure that's one of the reasons, many reasons, that Tara had this link to the environment in her words tonight. So that's at 10 a.m. Look forward to that so much. Get to celebrate some nachas with Mike and Renee. I think they had a recent simcha as well. We'll acknowledge that tomorrow morning. Tomorrow evening as well, Shiva service for Sonia Ehrlich, Jordana's grandma, following Havdalah, and that'll be at 6:15. The Havdalah will be, and the Shiva's before that. So let's see, a number of other wonderful happenings, goings on. to highlight some of the Sisterhood Rosh Chodesh on Monday, February 8th at 7:30. 100 Most Jewish Foods. It's a highly debatable list. That's by Alana Newhouse. Saturday, February 13th at 5 p.m. An inclusion Havdalah with Jeanette Peretz Elsner. It's collaboratively done with Community Synagogue and UJA on February 21st. That's a Sunday at 10. Join the ADL and Fighting Hate. Thank you to Ellen Meyerson for helping us make that happen. And we'll get to, we've seen our Modim Moments, our slideshow. I think they'll be rerun at the end of the service, but just a primer for a month from now on March 5th. Send your pictures of family members who immigrated to America, and get those pictures in by Wednesday, March 3rd. Maybe one final or two final related to Purim, February 23rd and 4th. Mishloach Manot, packing and delivering. What is Mishloach Manot? They're the sweet gifts that we give to friends and family. One of the four mitzvahs of Purim, Mishloach Manot. For more information, be in touch with Jackie Wadsworth. And in addition, Purim itself is Thursday evening, February 25th. And we look forward to a wonderful virtual Purim celebration. More on that to come. There's so much more happening. Thank you to Sonia and Cal in honor, Sonia, of your birthday. We love you. I didn't hear your age, but you're one of the youngest people at heart I've ever known. I don't care what number the year is. Youngest and most, idealistic people I know. And God bless you, and we're blessed to be connected to you. Thank you, and happy birthday again to Jody Adler. Happy birthday to you, and hopefully Ayal and Dara and Ben are all doing well. Send them our hugs and our love. And we're now, Cantor, before we do Kiddush and Motzi, what am I leaving out? I'm sure something important. Thank you to Cantor Adam and Dear Shai for the beautiful, gorgeous music, the prayers that you bring to our souls. What a blessing.
Thank you, Rabbi Meir, and thank you, Rabbi Tara in Jerusalem, for a beautiful and meaningful drash. Looking forward to tomorrow morning. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes. By the way, it's a secret. This is a confidential. Tara's birthday is the 7th. This is a confidential communication, right? All you lawyers, am I right about that? Okay. If it's less than 62 people, then you can remain confidential. Okay. Yes, Cantor. We are Melanie and Alan. Melanie and Alan, in honor of your birthday, Melanie. 29. Awesome. Woo! Stu, can you open up the mic for Melanie? Melanie will lead us in Kiddush and then Motzi, and Mazel Tov, happy birthday to you.
Cooper. We need to unmute.
Yeah, we don't hear these guys. Or maybe, do you?
Mute, Mom.
Oh.
Am I unmuted?
You're good. Now we can hear
All right.
All good.
Birthday wishes. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'aval v'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila tuhai lemikra et kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim ki banu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. Beautifully done, Melanie. Drink up all. And Motzi.
Is there a challah in the house?
Yes, challah.
Is there a challah in the house?
Gluten-free. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Beautifully done. And thank you to Maria Margalov.
We'll close with the last paragraph of Adon Olam, which you can find on page 321. Be'ado achidruchi, ve'hei kishan, ve'ahira, ve'im ludi leviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'im ludi leviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hands. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Save me in your hand. Be'ado achidruchi, ve'tishan, ve'ayira, ve'imruchi leviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira, ve'imruchi leviati, Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Shabbat Shalom all. Hope
Shabbat
to see you
shalom.
tomorrow. Have a safe and peaceful and healthy Shabbat, and we will see you very soon.